Welcome to our deep dive on dog training.
Yeah.
We're going beyond sit and stay today with Gene Donaldson's Dog Training 101 course from the Great Courses.
Nice.
You know those impressive tricks that make you wonder,
Yeah.
how did they do that?
Yeah.
Well, get ready to unlock those secrets.
Right.
And more importantly,
Okay.
unlock a whole new way of understanding your canine pal.
It's like learning your dog's language,
Oh,
not just teaching them ours.
I love that analogy.
Yeah.
Donaldson starts off with 3 core principles:
Okay.
safety motivation
Yeah.
and incremental training.
Okay.
They seem pretty straightforward at first,
Right.
but she dives into them in a way that really shifted my perspective.
Yeah. What's fascinating is how Donaldson emphasizes safety as the absolute bedrock of training.
Okay.
A fearful dog simply can't learn effectively.
Right.
Their brain is in survival mode,
Okay.
not absorbing new information.
That makes total sense.
Yeah.
I've definitely experienced that.
Yeah.
Deer in the headlights. Look for my dog when he's overwhelmed.
Right?
So how do we make sure our training is creating a safe space for learning?
It starts with recognizing your dog's subtle cues.
Okay.
A tucked tail, tense body,
Yeah.
or even yawning can all signal anxiety.
Right.
And ignoring those signs is like trying to teach a kid to ride a bike during an earthquake.
Oh, wow.
It's just setting them up for failure.
So we need to be tuned in to those subtle signals.
Yes.
But even in a safe environment, we need the dog to actually want to learn.
Right.
Donaldson says motivation is key.
Yes.
But it goes deeper than just treats.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay.
Some dogs might work for a simple head scratch, while others need a high-value treat like a piece of chicken.
Yeah.
And then there are those who live for a good game of tug-of-war.
Oh, yeah.
Figuring out what truly motivates your dog
Okay.
is like finding the key that unlocks their learning potential.
It's like finding their currency,
Yeah,
what they're willing to work for.
exactly.
Okay, so we've got safety and motivation,
Okay.
but how do we actually structure the training itself?
Yeah.
This is where Donaldson's incremental training and
Right.
the push-drop-stick concept come in.
Think of it like a video game.
Okay.
You wouldn't start a new game at the hardest level, would you?
No.
You start easy and level up as you master the skills.
Right.
Push-drop stick is essentially a built-in feedback system for your training.
Okay.
Let's say you're teaching your dog to stay.
Okay. Picture me working with my dog.
Exactly.
Wow.
If your dog nails the stay 5 times in a row, you push to the next level.
Okay.
Maybe increase the distance or duration if
Okay.
they're struggling.
Yeah.
You drop back a level,
Right.
make it easier.
Okay.
And if they're getting it right some of the time,
Mm-hmm.
you stick with the current level
Okay.
and practice more.
That's such a clear framework.
Yeah.
No more wondering if I'm asking too much or too little.
Right.
It removes the guesswork and helps tailor the training to the dog's individual pace.
Exactly.
Now, all this training talk makes me wonder,
Yeah.
what is actually going on in our dogs' heads? Why do they chase squirrels,
Right.
bury bones, and dig holes in the backyard?
Well, many of these behaviors stem from the 4 main action patterns of dogs.
Okay.
Fight, flight, feeding,
Okay.
and courtship.
Okay.
So chasing a squirrel is tapping into that ancient predatory instinct.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
It's like a glimpse into their wild ancestry.
Right.
What about burying bones? Is
Yeah.
that like hiding snacks for later?
It's a modified version of food caching behavior.
Oh, okay.
Even though our pampered pups don't need to worry about finding their next meal,
Right.
that instinct to stash valuable resources is still there.
Yeah.
It's amazing to see those ingrained behaviors play out in our living rooms.
Speaking of ingrained behaviors,
Yeah.
there's this whole alpha dog idea that Donaldson tackles head on.
Right.
She calls it a myth
Yes.
and says it doesn't actually contribute to effective training.
The concept of dominance hierarchies in domesticated dogs is largely outdated.
Right.
It's not about being the pack leader or asserting dominance.
So no more alpha roles or trying to eat before your dog to show who's boss?
Not at all.
Okay.
Instead, focus on building a relationship based on trust,
Yeah.
clear communication,
Yeah.
and of course,
Have fun.
positive reinforcement.
Got it.
It's about understanding and respecting your dog as an individual,
Right.
not forcing them into a rigid hierarchy that doesn't reflect their reality.
Okay, we're ditching the outdated alpha mentality.
Yes.
Now what about play?
Okay.
We know dogs love to play,
Right.
but is there more to it than just fun?
Play is actually crucial for a dog's physical and mental well-being.
Oh, wow.
It's how they learn social boundaries,
Okay.
refine their motor skills,
Uh-huh.
and release pent-up energy.
It's like their version of going to the gym and socializing at the same time.
Exactly.
But how do we make sure it's healthy play?
Yeah. I know sometimes things can get a bit rough.
You want to look for signs of consent.
Okay.
And what's called self-handicapping.
Okay.
Consent means both dogs are enjoying the interaction. Their body language is loose and relaxed, tails are wagging.
Okay.
And self-handicapping is when one dog might playfully hold back a bit, letting the other one win sometimes.
Yeah.
It shows they understand the play dynamic
Right.
and are respecting boundaries.
So those are good signs. But if one dog seems uncomfortable,
right,
or the play escalates,
yeah,
it's time for us to step in and redirect, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
We need to be advocates for our dogs and ensure play remains safe and enjoyable.
Now, shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
Let's talk about a key aspect of training that can be challenging but incredibly rewarding.
Right.
Impulse control.
This is about teaching our dogs to think before they act.
Okay.
Like resisting the urge to bolt out the door.
Or snatch food off the counter, right?
Precisely.
It's like building mental muscles for your dog.
Yeah.
Think of classic training cues like leave it, wait, and loose leash walking.
Yeah.
These exercises all build self-control and teach your dog to respond to your cues, even with distractions.
Donaldson mentions this cool concept called the Premack principle. Which sounds like a dog training hack.
Right.
Can you break that down for us?
It's the idea of using a highly desired activity as a reward for a less desirable behavior.
Got it.
Let's say your dog loves playing fetch.
Oh, he goes nuts for that.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So instead of just throwing the ball randomly, you can use it as a reward for him coming when called.
Right.
Even with distractions present.
Okay.
Essentially, you're turning the distraction into a reinforcer.
Wait, so the distraction itself becomes part of the reward?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
It's like saying, hey, you ignored that squirrel and came back to me.
Yeah.
Awesome. Now let's play fetch.
Exactly.
I could see how that would make training in real world situations much more effective.
Right. And it ties back to that idea of understanding your dog's individual motivations and using them to your advantage.
So we've covered a lot of ground here.
Yeah.
From safety and motivation to the power of play and impulse control.
Right.
But sometimes, despite our best efforts, we might encounter some more challenging behaviors.
Okay.
Like fear and aggression.
Right.
How do we approach those situations?
It's important to remember that fear and aggression are often the result of a lack of proper socialization and handling.
Okay.
Not necessarily past abuse.
Okay.
And recognizing the early signs of fear and aggression is absolutely key.
So we're talking about those subtle cues again.
Yeah.
Lip licking, yawning, a stiff body posture.
Those are all signs that your dog is uncomfortable. Ignoring these signals can lead to escalation and more serious problems down the road.
Okay.
It's like learning a new language.
Yeah.
You need to become fluent in your dog's body language to understand their emotional state.
It's like being a detective, looking for those subtle clues that tell us what's going on in their minds.
Exactly.
So recognizing these signs early is essential.
Yes.
And I know Donaldson talks a lot about socialization as a key factor in preventing fear and aggression.
Socialization is about exposing your dog to a variety of people, places, and experiences, especially during puppyhood.
Okay.
It's like building a foundation of confidence and resilience.
So it's not just about socializing with other dogs,
right,
but exposing them to all sorts of sights, sounds, and environments.
Exactly.
And this makes me think, how much of a dog's temperament is nature versus nurture? Can we really shape their behavior through training and socialization?
Yeah. It's a complex interplay between genetics and environment.
Okay.
A dog's temperament is influenced by both.
Right.
That's why it's important to choose a breed that aligns with your lifestyle and then commit to providing a nurturing and enriching environment that supports their individual needs.
It's a two-way street.
Yeah.
We need to choose the right dog for our lifestyle. And then we need to put in the work to provide them with the training and socialization they need to thrive.
Exactly.
Okay, we've covered so much already.
We have.
But I feel like we're just scratching the surface of what Donaldson has to offer.
We are.
There's so much more to explore.
Right.
From proofing behaviors in the real world to the fascinating world of dog tricks.
Yes.
Let's dive deeper into those topics and more in part 2.
Sounds good.
I can't wait to continue this deep dive.
Me too. Welcome back. You know, when we talk about dog training, There are those classic challenges that almost every owner faces.
Yeah.
House training, chewing, digging those can feel like the ultimate tests of patience.
I agree.
But the good news is Donaldson's approach provides clear, actionable strategies to navigate these hurdles.
I'm all ears. House training, especially with a new puppy, can feel like a never-ending cycle of accidents and cleanups.
Uh-huh.
What are some of Donaldson's key insights that can help us break that cycle?
Donaldson emphasizes management and consistency as the cornerstones of house training success.
Okay.
It's about preventing accidents from happening in the first place.
Right.
Not just reacting to them.
So it's not just about teaching them where to go.
Yeah.
It's about controlling their environment to set them up for success.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Especially in those early stages.
Uh-huh.
What about when they actually do go potty in the right spot?
Okay.
I know positive reinforcement is key.
Yes.
But is there a specific way to make those success moments really count?
Make it a celebration.
Okay.
Lots of praise. Happy talk. And maybe even a special treat reserved just for potty triumphs.
Okay.
You want to create a strong, positive association with eliminating in the designated spot.
I can see how that would make a big difference.
Yeah.
It's not just about going outside. It's about making that outdoor potty break.
Right.
A truly rewarding experience.
Exactly.
What about those dogs who like to mark their territory?
Yeah.
Is that a whole different ballgame?
It's definitely a behavior to address.
Okay.
But Donaldson includes it as part of the house training process.
Okay.
The same principles apply.
Right.
Management, consistency, and reinforcement.
Okay.
You're essentially teaching them that marking is okay, but only in designated outdoor areas.
Okay, so even marking can be managed.
Yes.
But even with the breast laid plans, accidents happen.
Yeah.
What's the best way to deal with those inevitable slip-ups?
The key is to stay calm and avoid punishment.
Okay.
Accidents are not about disobedience. They're often about miscommunication or a lapse in management on our part.
Okay.
Scolding your dog after the fact only creates confusion and anxiety.
So no rubbing their nose in it?
No.
Well,
that's an outdated and ineffective method.
Got it.
Focus on cleaning up the mess without fanfare.
Okay.
And reinforcing those outdoor potty successes.
Right.
Remember, consistency is key.
Speaking of things that need cleaning up, let's talk about chewing.
Yeah.
Every dog owner has probably experienced that moment of panic when they find their favorite shoe has become a chew toy.
Right.
How do we prevent those chew-tastrophe moments?
Chewing is a natural behavior for dogs. It's how they explore the world, relieve stress, and even keep their teeth clean.
Okay.
But we can channel that chewing into appropriate outlets.
So redirect.
Exactly. Make sure your dog has plenty of appropriate chew toys.
Right.
And remember, variety is key.
Yeah.
Offer different textures, shapes, and sizes to keep things interesting.
I've heard Kongs are a godsend for chewers.
Yeah.
What makes them so special?
Kongs are great because they can be stuffed with all sorts of goodies, from peanut butter to frozen treats.
Right.
It provides a mental and physical challenge for your dog, keeping them engaged and satisfied.
Like a puzzle and a treat dispenser all in one.
Exactly.
So we've got our arsenal of chew toys ready.
Okay.
What happens if we catch our dog in the act of chewing on something forbidden?
Yeah.
What's the best way to interrupt that behavior?
A firm no or off can be effective.
Okay.
But the key is to immediately redirect them to one of their appropriate chew toys.
Okay.
And make sure that redirect is super rewarding. Give them praise, maybe a little play session with that toy.
Okay.
And really reinforce the message that chewing on those designated items is much more fun and rewarding.
It's about making the good chewing so much more appealing than the bad chewing.
Yeah.
What about those situations where you can't constantly supervise your dog?
That's where management comes in again.
Yeah.
If you can't watch them like a hawk,
right,
set them up for success by confining them to a dog-proofed area, whether that's a crate or a playpen.
Right.
And make sure that space has plenty of those enticing chew toys to keep them entertained.
So it's a combination of prevention, redirection, and making sure they have plenty of outlets for that natural chewing instinct.
Right.
Now let's talk about another behavior that can really test our limits digging. I've seen dogs turn perfectly manicured gardens into lunar landscapes.
Yeah.
Is there any way to manage that urge to excavate?
Like chewing, digging is a natural instinct for dogs. They might be digging for entertainment, to cool off, to bury a treasured possession. Or sometimes they're just following those deeply ingrained instincts.
So how do we stop them from turning our backyards into archaeological sites?
Again, understanding the motivation behind the digging is key.
Okay.
If it's boredom,
right,
provide more mental and physical stimulation.
Got it.
More walks, more puzzle toys.
So a tired dog is less likely to dig up the roses.
Exactly.
Okay.
If it seems like they're digging to cool off, make sure they have a shady spot and access to cool water.
Got it.
And if they seem driven to bury treasures, you can actually provide a designated digging zone.
Like a sandbox just for them.
Exactly. Yeah. Fill it with loose dirt or sand, bury some toys or treats in there, and really encourage them to dig in that spot.
That's such a great idea.
Yeah.
It's like channeling their natural instincts into an acceptable outlet.
Exactly.
Now let's move on to a topic that can be both beneficial and somewhat controversial. Crate training.
Yeah.
I know some people see it as cruel,
right,
while others swear by it. What's Donaldson's take on crate training?
The key to successful and humane crate training is to make the crate a positive and safe space for your dog.
Okay.
Not a punishment zone.
So no using the crate as a timeout spot?
No.
Okay.
Or for isolating them when they're misbehaving? Absolutely not. That only creates negative associations with the crate.
Got it.
Donaldson recommends introducing the crate gradually, starting with feeding them meals in there with the door open.
Right.
Then progress to closing the door for short periods while you're home.
Okay.
Gradually increasing the duration.
Okay.
And make sure the crate is appropriately sized, big enough for them to stand up, turn around, and lie down comfortably.
So it's all about building positive associations with the crate.
Yes.
And making it a comfortable haven for them.
Exactly.
Now let's talk about a challenge that can be particularly heartbreaking, separation anxiety.
Okay.
How can we distinguish between typical alone time blues and true separation anxiety, which requires a more targeted approach?
A little whining or pacing when you leave is normal for many dogs.
Okay.
But true separation anxiety goes beyond that.
Yeah.
Look for destructive behaviors like chewing or scratching at doors, excessive vocalization like incessant barking or howling, and attempts to escape, especially when those behaviors occur only when the owner is gone.
So those are the red flags that signal something more serious is going on.
Yes.
What are the best ways to address separation anxiety?
This is where professional guidance is often crucial.
Okay.
A certified separation anxiety trainer can assess your dog's specific behaviors and develop a customized plan.
Right.
But the key is to address it early on. The longer it goes untreated, the more ingrained those anxious behaviors become.
Okay. On to another vocal challenge.
Yeah.
Barking. It's natural for dogs to bark.
Yeah.
But when it becomes excessive or disruptive, it can definitely strain our patience. How can we decode those barks and figure out what our dogs are trying to tell us?
That's the first step.
Okay.
Not all barks are created equal.
Right.
There's alert barking, demand barking, frustration barking, each with a different motivation behind it.
So it's like learning their language of barks.
Yes.
How do we decipher those different types of barking?
If your dog barks at every sound outside, that's likely alert barking.
Right.
They're letting you know something's up.
Okay.
If they bark incessantly at you when they want attention or a treat, that's demand barking.
Right.
And if they bark at the squirrels, taunting them from the tree outside, that's frustration barking.
So once we figure out the why behind the woof, what are some effective strategies to manage barking?
It depends on the motivation.
Okay.
If it's alert barking, maybe work on their socialization and exposure to different stimuli.
Okay.
So they're not so easily startled.
Right.
If it's demand barking, teach them that barking doesn't work. Ignore the barking and only reward them when they're quiet.
So no giving in to those demanding barks.
No matter how cute they try to make it. Yeah. Exactly.
You're teaching them that polite behavior gets them what they want.
Right.
Not barking.
Yeah.
And if it's frustration barking, maybe provide them with more outlets for their energy.
Okay.
Like puzzle toys or interactive games.
Right.
So they're not so easily frustrated.
Exactly.
So it's all about understanding the message behind the bark and addressing the underlying cause.
Right.
Not just trying to silence them.
Yes.
Now, I know there's a lot more to dive into with Donaldson's training approach.
Yeah.
But before we move on to those advanced concepts, I'm curious to hear what stood out to you as particularly impactful in these first two sections.
What really resonated with me is how Donaldson emphasizes that training isn't just about teaching commands. It's about building a deep understanding of our dog's behavior.
Okay.
It's about recognizing their individual needs and motivations and creating a training plan that works with those, not against them.
I love that. It's not about forcing them into a mold. It's about meeting them where they are.
Right.
And guiding them with patience and understanding, and her emphasis on management.
Yeah.
Both in terms of preventing unwanted behaviors and setting up our dogs for success.
Right.
Is so crucial.
It's like being proactive instead of reactive.
Okay.
Which can make a world of difference in the training process and in our overall relationship with our dogs.
Well said.
Yeah.
I'm excited to dive into the next section.
Okay.
Where we'll explore some more specialized training techniques.
Let's unlock those secrets.
All right. We've covered the foundational principles of dog training and tackled some of those everyday challenges.
Right.
Now I'm ready to unlock those wow factor skills.
Okay.
Those tricks that make people say,
yeah,
how did your dog learn to do that? What's first on our advanced training agenda?
Let's start with something called hand targeting, which sounds simple, but is incredibly versatile.
Okay.
It's essentially teaching your dog to touch their nose to your hand on cue.
I've seen trainers use this, and the dog's nose is magnetically drawn to their hand.
Yeah.
What makes hand targeting such a powerful tool?
Think of it as a foundation for a whole repertoire of behaviors.
Okay.
Once your dog understands the concept of targeting, you can use your hand to guide them into different positions.
Okay.
Like sit down or even walking through a doorway.
So it's not just about touching your hand.
Right.
It's about using that touch as a way to shape and guide their movements.
Exactly.
That opens up so many possibilities.
You can even use hand targeting for things like retrieving objects or navigating obstacle courses. It's all about building on that initial targeting behavior and shaping it into more complex actions.
Speaking of complex actions, Donaldson mentioned something called the fugitive frisk, which sounds a little intense, like something out of a police procedural.
Right.
What's that all about?
It's not as dramatic as it sounds.
Okay.
It's a fun and practical trick where you teach your dog to stand still and allow you to touch their body all over.
Sounds like a simulated search.
Right.
I can see how that would be useful for things like vet checks or grooming.
Yeah.
Especially if you have a dog who's a bit sensitive about being handled.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
It helps desensitize them to being touched.
Right.
And builds trust and confidence.
Okay.
They learn that being handled can be a positive experience, not something to be feared.
And speaking of building confidence.
Yes.
Let's shift gears to those high energy activities.
Okay.
Like agility or fly ball.
I love watching those.
Seeing dogs zoom through those courses with such speed and precision is amazing.
It is.
What are some of the key considerations for training dogs in those sports?
Agility and flyball are fantastic outlets for dogs who love to move and have a lot of energy.
Right.
But they also require a solid foundation of obedience and impulse control.
So you can't just throw them into an agility course and hope for the best.
Right.
They need those basic skills mastered first.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then it's all about breaking down the specific skills, whether it's jumping hurdles, weaving through poles, or fetching a ball into smaller steps.
Got it.
Positive reinforcement, shaping those behaviors gradually and building up their confidence are key.
I can imagine it takes a lot of patience and dedication, both from the dog and the handler.
It does.
But the rewards must be incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Not just the ribbons and titles, but that deep sense of connection you build with your dog through working together.
It's a truly collaborative effort.
And beyond the competitive aspect, these activities provide incredible mental and physical stimulation for dogs, keeping them happy, engaged, and fulfilled.
And speaking of keeping them engaged,
Donaldson
emphasizes the importance of ongoing training, even after your dog has mastered those foundational skills.
So it's not a one-and-done deal.
Right.
Training is an ongoing journey.
Exactly.
But why is that so important? What are the benefits of continuing training beyond those basic commands?
It's about keeping their minds sharp and their skills honed.
Right.
Think of it like keeping ourselves mentally and physically fit. We need to challenge ourselves to learn and grow. The same goes for our dogs.
So what are some ways to incorporate ongoing training into our dogs' lives?
You can introduce new tricks, work on more advanced obedience exercises, or even explore different dog sports.
Right.
It's about finding activities that both you and your dog enjoy and that provide a mental and physical challenge.
It's like keeping things fresh and exciting. And I imagine it also helps strengthen that bond between you and your dog.
Absolutely.
The more you work together, the more you learn to communicate and understand each other. And remember, training should always be fun for both of you.
Yes.
If it starts to feel like a chore, take a break and try something different.
Well said.
We've covered so much in this deep dive into Donaldson's training approach.
We have.
From those foundational principles to specialized techniques, it's clear that there's a lot more to dog training than just teaching sit and stay.
It's about building a relationship built on trust, communication, and a deep understanding of our canine companions.
And it's about recognizing that every dog is an individual.
Yes.
With their own unique personality, motivations, and learning style.
With the right knowledge, patience, and a positive approach. We can unlock our dog's full potential and create a truly fulfilling partnership.
Well, I feel like I've graduated from Dog Training 101.
Me too.
This deep dive has given me a whole new perspective on how to approach training my own dog.
Yeah.
I'm excited to put these principles into practice and see what amazing things we can achieve together.
Remember, the world of dog training is always evolving.
Right.
Stay curious. Keep learning. And never stop exploring the incredible possibilities of the human-animal bond.
That's a perfect note to end on.
It is.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into dog training.
It was fun.
We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration. Happy training.